One from the program coordinator implementation, Camille Spencer, that is from the National Transformation Unit, and we also have Ms. Hippolina Joseph, who is the Deputy Program Manager, Strategic Management at the Caricom Secretariat. So I'd like to say good morning and welcome, and first of all, apologize for, I know that you all were here since very early.
Yes, we have been.
Yes, and I'm really appreciative that you all sat and wait, and I hopefully were entertained.
Excellent. Yes. Excellent program this morning. Very entertaining.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if she was being sarcastic, but I hope that it was.
No, excellent programming this morning.
And I concur.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well, I feel very, very happy then. But let's get into the gender-sensitive Caricom results-based management system. What is that all about?
Just to give some background, we have the Caricom community, and when we talk about the Caricom community, we're talking about an organization with 15 member states, 5 associate member states, and a number of special purpose regional institutions. So in effect, when we talk about Caricom, we're talking about all of us. And then we have the Caricom Secretariat, which is based in Guyana.
Right.
Okay, so there is a difference. The Caricom community developed the first community strategic plan for the period 2015 to 2019. Some people associate Caricom as an entity with what is referred to as an implementation deficit. Recognizing that, and in response to that, we set about to develop and implement the Caricom results-based management system. We received funding from the Caribbean Development Bank. Results-based management is a management approach that focuses on achieving the results, desired results. So it takes an approach where the first thing is to identify what results that you're trying to achieve. Where do we want to be? And then work backwards to see this is how. So you map backwards saying, okay, for example, we want to see improved standards of living in the community. Right. How are we going to achieve that? Yeah. And you map it backwards right down to the activities that you will be undertaking to achieve the results.
So where are we as relates to that? So what are some of the outcomes you're looking at? And
okay, at the moment, we have fully completed the RBM system.
Right.
And we have implemented it. Initially, it's institutionalized at the Caricom Secretariat. And right now, we're in the process of supporting member states and regional institutions to adopt that approach to working. We are in the process of developing RBM policies, supporting member states and regional institutions to develop RBM policies. And the aim is to have a results-focused culture within the entire community. So we're working with what we call the implementing partners, and that's the Secretariat, the regional institutions, and member states. So we're working together collaboratively to achieve that end result of having a results-focused culture within the community and addressing what is considered to be the implementation deficits.
Yeah, and the system will serve as a mechanism to facilitate improvements to planning, monitoring, evaluating, and reporting on the status of implementation and impact of community projects and programs. Implementation-wise for us here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Right. No, we are very much in line with what the Caricom Secretariat is doing in terms of our National Development Strategy, otherwise known as Vision 2030. And for the next 2 years and into the 2030 period, we are only going to be focusing as well on implementation. We too, just like the Caricom Secretariat, have also developed our own national results-based management system. And by extension, the Vision 2030 document has 5 thematic areas. And one of them speaks to delivering good governance and service excellence. And one of our specific outcomes is about strengthening our own results-based management system. So in terms of where we are as a country, we have put the mechanisms in place to enhance our implementation, and by extension, not only just enhance but to reinforce what we are doing locally, and also monitoring and measuring our progress to the year 2030. So again, Vision 2030, tracking our progress, where we are moving, very much in alignment with what Caricom Secretariat is doing.
Trinidad and Tobago citizens, how are they going to benefit from this?
Well, Vision 2030 is for all of us. It's about improving the quality of living. It's about improving our standards, our quality of life. And in the implementation and the rollout of Vision 2030, it's not just about the projects and the programs and the initiatives, but it's about the results.
Right.
The focus that we are on right now through the Ministry of Planning and Development, coordinating all the ministries of government, is that we're going to be pushing towards implementation. And the general public is going to feel that implementation when they walk down the street, when they go to the health sector.
So what would they be able to see or feel?
See or feel? Okay, for example, under our thematic area called Putting People First, Nurturing Our Greatest Asset, focuses on 3 main areas. Healthcare, improving our quality of health, that's going to be our focus in terms of programs and projects to implement, whether in terms of having access to more medical facilities, having access to better quality of care. For example, focusing on education, how we revise what we are doing in terms of our education system, looking at social protection, the kind of grants and services that are going to be put forward to the public. And it's not just talk. And that's what the Caricom Secretariat also putting forward with the results-based management system. It's about results, it's about performance, it's about achieving the outcomes.
So, Hippolina, you hear Trinidad and Tobago's team talk about it like that, and this is what they are doing. What is it looking like for other countries?
Well, we have been visiting all member states conducting these similar sensitization seminars because member states are very critical to the success of the RBM system. And so far, we have conducted seminars in all member states, and Trinidad is the last member state that we are visiting.
Why was Trinidad and Tobago the last member state?
You leave the best for last.
And it has been very well received, and we find that in different member states, the principle of RBM has been adopted at varying degrees, and member states really do see the benefit of this new approach, which is focusing on the results that we set out to achieve.
But one thing people always have a problem with is, yes, you have all of these initiatives, you talk about it, so many grand plans, but then people say, okay, so we talk about it, and then there is always this lack of implementation for some reason. And people talk about it all the time. How is this going to be different? Yes, you talk about it being results-based, but how long do people have to wait now to see some sort of result?
Well, within the RBM system, we have what is called the results chain. And you have the output, which is the actual work that is done. And the outputs then will produce what we call outcomes, which is the change that we're seeing. So, for example, the outcomes would be an increase in something, a decrease, and so on, or strengthened. With the results-based management system, it is clearly mapped out. And actually, we undertook the process of developing the RBM system because of the issues we were facing with implementation and not achieving implementation. And it has been used by a lot of, in fact, it has been used by a lot of international development partners to a great degree of success. Outcomes are not realized immediately because we have to see the change. So when you undertake an activity, the outcome will not be immediate. We have short-term outcomes, medium-term outcomes, and long-term outcomes. But with the RBM system or with the RBM approach, it is clearly marked, clearly mapped out, and all stakeholders, all implementing partners are aware of what we're trying to achieve and how we're trying to achieve it. So it helps in terms of moving forward and getting to the point that we want to get.
And for Trinidad and Tobago, we can see the 2030 document on the ministry's website.
Yes, you can view it. We also have a pocket edition. I want to give you your own very personal copy of what we call the pocket edition of Vision 2030. You can access the full document at our Ministry of Planning and Development website, www.planning.gov.tt. So I encourage you, take a read.
I will definitely do that, and hopefully we'll hear more about this initiative, the Caricom RBM system, and much more from Trinidad and Tobago and Caricom. Thank you very much, Camille Spencer, Program Coordinator Implementation, and also Hippolina Joseph, Deputy Program Manager Strategic Management of the Caricom Secretariat. It is